Good morning, 612. It's First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX. Many of you know that Bill is going to be a little late this morning. He got a chance to sleep in today, although I don't know if he's enjoying it.
Well,
Good morning.
We don't even know if he's awake yet, although I would imagine that he is, but who knows? Maybe this is the best night's sleep he's ever gotten and he's still asleep.
You know, it's possible, although he's sleeping in a strange place, so I think that would be difficult to get a full night's sleep.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And we'll hear from Bill later this morning. He's undergoing a sleep study today, so he's going to be in about an hour from now. It'd be interesting to see if that actually did help him, or if he was comfortable sleeping, or if he couldn't sleep, or what the case was.
I'll tell you, it helped me because I didn't get any text messages from him last night.
I know. I noticed that as well. My phone wasn't dinging all night.
Silent.
That's funny.
So normally, we're like texting all night long, basically.
Yeah.
At one point it stops, but especially when he's had coffee, we get text messages at all hours of the night, and I just ignore it eventually. But no text messages last night.
Well, I'll get more of this in a minute, what I did to prepare to fill in for Bill this morning. I've got my list here, although all of Bill's prep comes to him digitally. I've got a stack of papers here. We'll see how well that goes. But let's go quickly because we've got Kitty Logan on the line, and we talked to Kitty yesterday. We're following up this morning on the latest on the attack in Brussels and what the U.S. reaction is. Good morning, Kitty. Oh, I've got to hit the button. Good morning, Kitty. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Thank you. Tell us how the United States is reacting to this attack. Obviously, it didn't happen here, but we always seem to be on the radar of terrorists.
Well, I can tell you about the situation in Brussels this morning. I can't really speak about the reaction in the U.S. because I'm talking to you from London. But let me bring you up to date with what's happening in Belgium. Today, we've had more reports coming from Belgian media that a second man was caught on CCTV in the subway with bomber Khalid El-Bakraoui. So police now are hunting for another suspect. Also, they're looking for that third man at the airport. Police haven't given his identity. Some say he is a former ISIS fighter who's suspected of making bombs for the Paris attacks. Police are urgently hunting for him and many others who they suspect of being involved with it. And meanwhile, a suspect in the Paris attacks, Salah Abdeslam, has had a hearing this morning. He has not physically appeared in court, but his lawyer has set a date for him to be back to complete that extradition process and has confirmed he will not be fighting extradition to France. But meanwhile, the police in Brussels are continuing to investigate what happened and, as I say, looking for more people who they believe were involved in these deadly attacks which killed 32 people.
Kitty, this Abdul Salam, is he the one who is suspected of making the bomb in the terror attacks, or is this another person?
Salah Abdul Salam is suspected of involvement in the Paris attacks last November, which killed 130 people. He was arrested last Friday in Brussels before the attacks, and he says his lawyer, that he did not know about these attacks. And that, in a way, might ring true. One of the suspects who was killed at the airport, suspected suicide bomber, Ibrahim al-Bakraoui, left a note, and that note was really a hint of desperation. He was worried about being caught by police, and he believed the suicide bombing was his best option. So perhaps these networks were very much on the back foot since Salah Abdeslam was arrested. Regarding the bomb maker you mentioned, police are not giving specific details, but some people believe, having looked at the CCTV image that was released by Belgian police, some believe that he is captured on that image of the three suspected bombers entering the departure hall at Brussels airport just before those bombs went off. But we've yet to have confirmation of that.
So, Kitty, that's got to say a lot for the communication within the actual ISIS group or organization. That is this something that is being planned higher up? Is there some kind of hierarchy, or are these little cells of terrorist groups that just kind of follow the same ideology?
It's an interesting question. ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack in Brussels. They also claimed responsibility for both major attacks in Paris, both the Charlie Hebdo attack and the attacks last November 13th. This is obviously a network that has been pretty apparent over the last couple of days now as more information comes out that it's the same network as behind the Paris attacks, the same network carried out the attacks in Brussels at the airport and at the subway station. Whether they're taking taking orders from somewhere else is open to speculation right now. No doubt it's something the investigation will be looking into. It's interesting to note that the suspect in the Paris attacks, Salah Abdel Salam, has apparently said he knew nothing about Tuesday's attacks in Brussels. This is a possibility. It is possible that the people in his network who were left out on the streets decided to carry out this attack after he was caught, fearing themselves that they would be arrested imminently. We simply don't know that. We don't know if he's speaking the truth. We don't know the details of why they carried out the attack at that particular time. We can only speculate at this point. But certainly it seems to be the same network behind all of these attacks. Whether it's being coordinated from somewhere else is, again, open to question. But certainly ISIS, as an organization, is claiming responsibility for that.
All right. Kitty, thank you so much for your time this morning. That is Kitty Logan, Fox News, checking in from Belgium, and the latest on the terror attacks which unfolded there earlier this week. Interesting, as I was going through some show prep this morning, there is a new poll out about terrorism and how the United States feels about it, whether or not Americans are fearing it, I should say. According to a Gallup poll taken the first week of March, this was just before the attacks, of course, terrorism has dropped to number 3 on the list of things keeping Americans awake at night. Affordable health care and the economy were tied as the top concern for more than half of those who were asked. Crime and violence was a close second. A terror attack in the U.S. worried less than half of those who were polled before Tuesday's assault in Belgium.
Wow. Well, I want to just go back to what Kitty was talking about, because this is fascinating to me, is that, you know, either they're very good at covering up, you know, certain things, or there really is, and this could be the scary part, is that we don't know when a group of ISIS followers are going to get together and, you know, plan their own network or start their own kind of sect. But, you know, like I said, that's the scary part. Or is this, like Kitty says, we don't know if he's telling the truth. Is this a much greater organized plan that's kind of following into place? I mean, we don't know. Because it's not like they're going to tell the truth. They're terrorists. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting, and it's something to keep an eye on. I had thought we were going to get an update there on what the U.S. reaction is, although Christine in the top of the hour news had a thought or an idea from Charles Schumer on pre-screening before you go into the airport. I guess my question is, how would that work? Would you be screened as you entered the airport? So if you were picking someone up, you'd have to go through a screening as well?
And I guess he hasn't laid out the details of that. But one of the issues in the terrorist attacks was that there was a suitcase left unattended in the airport, a fairly large suitcase that no one happened to see or that no one said anything about. So that was one of the things that he was saying, you know, that they need to do increased screening for, you know, if you see something, say something, or if you see something unattended, you need to speak up about it. So, you know, I think that's more along the lines of what he's talking about. We know, you know, Senator Schumer is a little reactionary when it comes to stuff like this. He's also saying that Europe needs to reassess their security procedures. Well, we know that, right? And the big question is it ever enough? You know, you can never do enough to combat terrorism.
Unfortunately, right, that is the fear. It's 6:20 at WIBX. Here is Christine with a news update. Good morning, Christine Bellino.
Good morning. The search for suspects and answers continues this morning after Tuesday's deadly terror attacks in Brussels. Airport workers at 10 major airports honoring victims of those attacks. Apple begins accepting orders for the new iPhone SE today. And it is moving day for NFL's Los Angeles Rams.
It is moving day. Mm-hmm. Interesting. They'll be loading up some U-Hauls and heading out to Los Angeles. Your forecast from Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Rachel Witter. Some showers this morning, tapering off, a high of 54 degrees. 45 for your overnight low. Boy, that's pretty warm for an overnight low. Tomorrow, rain in the forecast, 53. A nice weekend on tap. Sunshine, a high of 55. Mostly sunny skies for Easter Sunday, 66 degrees. Looks like right now we're going to cool off a bit when we start the work week again next week. We're going to skip the break here. We'll go to, that's Keeler's influence right there on me. We're going to skip the break. We've got Tanya, who's only got a couple of minutes. Fox's Tanya J. Powers joins us on the line. Good morning, Tanya.
Good morning.
Moving along quickly, are you at the Library of Congress?
No, I'm not actually there, but I do have the list, and boy, there's some classic stuff on here.
We talked a bit about this yesterday, but there are, 25 songs that are, tell us what's going on.
It's pieces pieces of audio, actually. Not all of them are songs. One of them is George Carlin's famous comedy routine, The 7 Dirty Words. The ones that we can't share with you on the radio for obvious reasons.
Yes.
And the other one, another piece of audio, is the game where Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points. The audio from that one is also going into the Library of Congress. Other than that, there's a whole lot of really, really, iconic songs that you would, immediately recognize if you're just like a few notes. Piano Man by Billy Joel is one of those.
Okay.
So, Tanya, what makes a piece of audio worthy enough for the Library of Congress? At what point do they? Yeah, and how is it decided?
Well, it has to obviously have some sort of, it has to be, I guess, extremely popular. It's one of those things where it's sort of what goes into the Library of Congress is kind of the fabric of America kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
That's a really good way to put it, I think, because they select 25 recordings every year that are culturally, historical, or aesthetically significant that have to be at least 10 years old. So that's one of the reasons you don't hear, it'll be a while before One Direction gets in there. You get me?
Maybe not as long as you think.
Thank goodness, Tanya.
It may not be as long as you think, exactly.
So Justin Bieber would go into the Canadian equivalent of the Canadian Library of Congress, probably. Hopefully not America.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's a good question. I don't know. But I mean, there's all kinds of things. There's sporting events, audio. There's speeches, radio shows, and like I said, songs. And you can go from all kinds of genres there: blues and jazz, and rock, and of course country. I mean, like I said, it's kind of like the things that are immediately recognizable when you hear them.
All right, Tanya. I know you've got several hits this morning, and you've got to run. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks a
Fox's
lot.
Tanya J. Powers, and you've got some of the audio.
I always love when she's on,
It's a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Billy Joel.
This is part of the fabric of Andrew Derminio.
Yeah, you're right. My childhood, my growing up, my upbringing. And when I saw him, this was seriously, people talk about having a bucket list. This guy, seeing him in concert was mine. And he came to the Carrier Dome, 22 rows back. Man, what more could you want?
Yeah. Tanya, you mentioned Justin Bieber. I've got to tell you, I've got this in my paper stack here. Have you heard about Justin Bieber getting sick? He's depressed from doing his meet and greets on tour. He's canceled all of them going forward. I'm not kidding. The singer says the sessions make him emotionally exhausted to the point of depression. The company promoting the tour says the meet and greets were also canceled because of a security scare. But he's got so many fans that love him so much, it's driven him to depression.
So, let me get this straight. He's canceling them altogether going forward?
Yes.
Now, here's the thing
and
that
they're being
drives me
refunded.
nuts.
It's like a VIP pass. You have to get to meet him, and they're refunding everybody who bought it.
Everybody who's bought, but going forward, like let's say he has a tour next year, he's not doing it.
Well, I don't know. But on this current stretch.
Here is the issue that I have with this is that the record label and the artist get together and they decide exactly how many group meet and greets they want to give out and what the criteria is for you to be eligible to get a meet and greet. So he can limit it to 10, then limit it to 25 people or 10 people. Some of these lines are like 100 people long, but if you are really that concerned where it's going to drive you to depression, to take 5 minutes before your concert, you meet with the people. Just limit it to 25 people.
It's Justin Bieber. And you would have to imagine that most of these are what? Early, late teens, young 20s, girls that want to meet him. I mean, I don't think there's too many Andrews or Christines that are rolling up, right?
There may be.
Wanting to meet Justin Bieber?
I mean, there were some people trying to meet, what's his name there from Kid of Blue?
Corey from Girl Meets World. There are actually
You
people...
wanted to meet him. Did you get your picture with him?
So
No,
can I talk about a story that I saw about the
Lord.
people that I love the people we work with. I really do.
Yeah.
But so there was 4 little girls that had the VIP bracelets that were waiting to meet Farkle, okay?
Okay.
And they're sitting there patiently waiting, but I'm noticing that every salespeople and all these on-air staff are hovering over him, talking to him, taking pictures. I'm like, guys, do you mind? We got some little girls here that want to meet Farkle. I mean, they were going nuts over this kid.
Did you want to add? You
No.
were impressed with him. You
was
didn't
impressed.
necessarily want to meet him.
No,
but-
and that's so not me, is to be taking pictures. I mean, there are no
Yeah.
pictures of me with celebrities because I just don't do that usually, and not whatever. But I was very impressed by the way he carried himself. So I thought he was younger than he is. So he's 16. We thought he was 12, and I'm thinking, God, he carries himself so well because he's talking to he was really, really, really great with the kids, and he handled it well because there were so many people, and I was surprised at the age range of people who were going to meet him, but there were older girls who were like crying when they went up to meet him.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, older
didn't see
This
teenagers.
this.
one little girl kept going through the line. She must have been through the line like 15 times. And like there wasn't a big line at one point. It had kind of lulled, and she was just kind of making some revolutions. You know, she kept going around. Like I think she's like asking him different questions, like, "So what's your favorite vegetable?" Or just like random.
It was cute though.
That's adorable.
But he really handled it well, and like with the little kids, he kind of bent down to talk to them. He handled himself well, so I was impressed with the way he carried himself.
Yeah, and it's just so funny too, because in radio, I'm not gonna I say this, we have the chance to sometimes meet some really cool people, and so you kind of get used to it. But you realize too over time, like here he is, we were about to leave, we had just finished up what we were doing, you and I, Jeff, and he was just sitting there with his mom, eating pizza, talking about, this cousin or that person, or, hey, did you see Dee Dee's new house? It's, they're just normal people, but it was kind of funny. He was just I can't even imagine what he was thinking. He's just sitting at this sports complex and,
That was Kiddabaloo last weekend at the Accelerate Sports Complex. It is 6:28. We'll take a quick time out. Christine's got a news update coming up here on WIBX.